welcome to another session of Neighbors and Friends. We have with us today, and would you introduce yourself and tell us where you're from?
Absolutely. My name is Tim Judd, and I'm from North Liberty, Iowa.
And were you born in North Liberty?
I was not. I was actually born in Illinois. However, I moved to Iowa when I was about 3 months old or so. So I've been a native Iowan. Yeah.
Wise, very young.
Right, for sure. My parents grew up in Clinton, Iowa, so it was a natural progression for us to come back home. I've lived in the area since 1997.
I see. And what brought you to Iowa City?
Originally, my family. I also was taking some coursework in 1997 from Kirkwood Community College out of Cedar Rapids, and I have since moved on to get my Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Iowa, but originally it was for my family and for work in the area.
I see. And what's your bachelor in?
I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science with a minor in sociology.
See.
That focuses on social movements and collective behavior.
And that gives you strength in your current interest, right?
Absolutely. It really greatly benefits. I have a wide berth of knowledge. I changed my major probably 20 or 30 times when I was in college. So I tried a lot of different things and learned a lot of different things. And when you're on a platform committee, it helps you to be able to know what you're talking about and have different realms of knowledge to be able to help out.
And you mentioned the platform committee. When were you first active in politics?
My goodness, Elsie, you're making me think back. In 1992, I started being involved. Now, for those who want to do the math, I was 11 years old at the time. And I went door to door at the time for Bill Clinton. And in 1996, I did a lot more volunteer activities. By the time 1999 rolled around, I started working for the Iowa Democratic Party during the Gore-Bush election. And I worked through the 2000 election, which we were the county, it was in Clinton County that I worked for the Democratic Party. And it was during that election that we were the final county to declare a win for Gore. It was basically a tie leading up to Clinton County, and we carried the state for Al Gore in that election. Since that, I've worked on numerous political campaigns. I was a campaign manager for many years. I managed everything from a mayoral race out of Davenport to a United States congressional race in the 1st District. I've worked on presidential campaigns, and I've managed state representative campaigns, so the wide gamut of things. And along the way, I picked up an education. I think we can call that experience a lot of education too, right?
Absolutely. And right now is another presidential year, and you're working, you told me, in the platform committee.
That's correct. It's an important year for our party, and it's going to be a tough election, make no doubts about it. But at the same time, we need to focus on the sorts of committees that exist within the party, because those serve a critical purpose to help guide and steer the direction that our party is going. My personal journey with why I decided to start the platform committee was because of my partner and I, actually.
And your partner is from where?
He's from the Philippines, actually. We've been dating for over 7 months now. We're working on 8 months currently. And we are so incredibly happy and in love with one another. We've never actually been able to hold one another, although that's going to change likely in July. We've never actually been able to hold one another, but we've shared an incredible bond. And that bond has taken place on our dining room tables. Sometimes we'll sit across from each other and eat dinner on Skype, which for those who don't know is just a internet application where you can video chat with another person. So I'd be sitting here, my laptop would be here, his laptop would be here, and he'd be sitting there, and we'd just be eating with one another. We'll watch movies together, go on dates with each other. And so it's a very fulfilling relationship. And unfortunately, I can't bring him over because of the Defense of Marriage Act, like any straight couple could. So it's tough, and it's a reason to really get involved. So many people complain, Elsie, but not a lot of people actually do something about it.
Now, we all have had neighbors or friends who have perhaps been in the military service, stationed overseas, found someone they loved, married them, and brought them home as full citizen, right?
Right, that's correct.
And that's because they're heterosexual.
Yes, so I've done a lot of research into immigration law. Obviously, when you're in this situation, you tend to delve into it. Prior to the Bush presidency, the immigration process was contained within one office and one department, INS, Immigration and Naturalization Services. However, after September 11th happened, they split the immigration process up into 7 different bureaucracies and 9 different offices. So in the past, and currently today, you could file, if you were heterosexual, a K-1 fiancé visa. And that would give access, they'd go through interview processes and whatnot, as we've seen in TV shows and movies. They'd go through an interview process and determine if it's a legitimate relationship, and then your significant other could come to America, you have to get married within 3 months, and then they get a green card to stay. Unfortunately, 35,000 couples plus, that's just documented couples, have been married legally by their state's laws. These are same-sex couples, have been married legally by their state's laws. However, because of the Defense of Marriage Act, which President Obama has stated is unconstitutional and has ordered the Department of Justice not to defend the United States on cases challenging it, because of that, homosexual couples cannot do the same, even though they can get married in their own home state. And so that's the challenge that we're facing right now. The divergence of all of the different bureaucracies has made things immeasurably more difficult as well, because you're not just dealing with one organization and a few people within that organization, you're dealing with 8 different bureaucracies across the government, 7 or 8 bureaucracies across the government.
It's made it more complicated than...
For certain. And so it's important, because it's something that's so important to me, that we move forward with trying to fight for social justice issues. And that doesn't stop at gay rights and at immigration rights. That continues to all spheres of things, such as senior rights and veterans' rights. And we cover all of that in the platform committee. So it's not just the narrow focus of what is problematic for me, but really my issue, when people ask me, what is your big issue? I tell them what drove me to start, but what's driving me to continue is your voices and making sure that your voices are heard. And so I always have an open forum where people can communicate with me and let me know what issues are important to them.
Well, yes, as Americans, as citizens of what's supposed to be the greatest nation in the world, we stand for fairness, justice, equality, and yet many of us find no justice, no equality, no fairness. And so it's not just whether or not we're gay or lesbian, transgender, transsexual. There are other groups, veterans who are so desperately in need of some fairness and decent treatment. And many other people besides our own minority.
You know, let me tell you briefly about veterans. My father was a Navy corpsman attached to the Marines during Vietnam. I have a tremendous amount of respect for our veterans, our American heroes, and for our soldiers who are currently fighting. Do we wish that there was no war? Obviously. Nobody is really a big proponent of having war. We have to make sure that the people who are serving our country have the equipment that they need in order to be protected and safe. But talking in reference to my father, who has 2 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star, he was infected with Agent Orange while he was fighting overseas. Unfortunately, that's wreaked so much havoc on his body. Every single soldier who fights for our country sacrifices. It may not be in combat, it may be, but ultimately they sacrifice, whether it's from post-traumatic stress disorder and the stress that causes families, or it's from Agent Orange. And it's our duty to ensure, as Americans, that we deliver on the promises we make our armed forces. So, yes, our military, thankfully now gays can serve openly in the military, which was a tremendous outcome this last year. But we must make sure that our military forces have the respect that they deserve as well.
And when they come home, and many, many years had a brother who was in Pearl Harbor, and his life was never the same.
Yeah. My father came home from Vietnam because his father had passed away. They flew him over on a plane to Rock Island, to the arsenal. The carrier that he was on contained the bodies of his fellow soldiers who had died in Vietnam as well. And when he climbed off the plane to go home to see his family, after saving the lives of so many people in Vietnam as a corpsman, which is a medic, he was spat in the face, called a baby killer.
Mm-hmm.
These are our fathers, these are our brothers and our sons.
Mm-hmm.
These are our mothers, our daughters,
Right.
our wives. And we can't stand by and abide that sort of treatment. You can oppose the war, but these people are just doing their job.
So there are a lot of social issues that you would deal with on the platform committee.
Absolutely, especially in my subcommittee. I was the Johnson County chair of the Government and Law Subcommittee, which focuses on veterans issues, senior issues, gay and lesbian issues, the whole gamut of civil rights. And I've been elected to serve on the 2nd District Platform Committee, and I'm continuing my journey on to run for State Platform Committee, and hopefully be selected by the Obama campaign to serve on the National Platform Committee as well, so I can take our voices all the way to the top. And so it's important for me to make sure that our voices are being carried forward, and so on every publication I put out there, I always put my phone number, which is 319-855-9654, and my email address, yourplatformvoice@gmail.com, so you can reach out to me. We're getting ready to launch a website as well. It is not completed quite yet. It should be completed by Thursday, but it's yourplatformvoice.com. Very easy to find, and so you can find out all of the issues and where I stand on those there.
So it'll be ready when this gets edited and gets on the air.
For certain, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. And what is your boyfriend's name?
Kino Manansala. The Philippines, as many people know, is 80% Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually a very challenging place for homosexuals to live, although there is a very large population of homosexuals in the Philippines. So it provides its own challenge. And for him being a Catholic, there's a lot of things that he had to resolve within himself. But he's very excited to come to America and become an American citizen, and I'm very excited. We're both very excited to be married when he finally is able to come here. I plan on proposing to him when I go there in July so that we can establish that. And he'll be my fiance. And we're doing it knowing the challenges that are in front of us. But Elsie, let me tell you, and make no doubts about it, love knows no borders.
No.
Love knows no immigration. Love knows no gender. And for as long as I live, I will fight on the side of love, because that's the side that will prevail on history.
Actually, of course, the planet Earth was evolved with no borders other than ocean borders or rivers or,
That's right. I really wish, obviously, because I face the struggles that Kino and I are facing on a daily basis, my stance on immigration has really eased up and really improved over time. It's so silly. We are a nation that's founded on immigrants and people who want to come to this country to make a difference. Right now, the people who are most able to come to America are scientists, are people who are highly skilled medical professionals, things to that effect. But when we were being founded, and throughout our history of immigration, it has been people who have been trying to make a life for themselves, whether it's the Italian and Irish immigrants in New York City who slaved over clothing manufacturing in the ghettos of New York, or whether it's Hispanics who are just coming here to try to make a life for themselves. Remember, if you live in America and you are not a Native American, you're an immigrant.
Right.
Right? The Native Americans were the ones who were here first.
Right.
This was their home, and we came in. So as immigrants, we need to realize that everyone deserves to have an equal opportunity. And the Statue of Liberty, when you come into the port in New York to Ellis Island, It says, bring us you're tired, you're weary, you're weak, yearning to be free. It doesn't necessarily say, bring us your scientists, doctors, and other medical professionals who can make it well in their own country as well. But we need to open up those policies to allow people to explore the opportunities that we have. And we in America do not have an overpopulation problem. Perhaps in cities we do, but not in the rest of America. And there are great opportunities that I've been speaking with legislators about with regards to immigration, such as an expedited immigration policy, which would include if you want to come to America. And I cite places such as Postville and Marshalltown, who were dying communities. And when they opened up their doors to immigrants, those communities were able to build and sustain themselves and are now flourishing communities. So give us 5 years of your time. We'll pick a state that you want to move to. There are failing communities in every state. Work in those communities, contribute to that economy, and after 5 years, you're a full American citizen, just like the rest of us. So let's get you into America where you can receive the help that you need, get you on your feet, and help you pursue the American dream. So that's really my particular stance on immigration.
Kino, what is his background? What's his...
Well, obviously... I'm sorry, go ahead. Obviously, he's not a doctor or a scientist, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't maybe be having this conversation necessarily. But he is a graphic design person. He does industrial design, and he is a fashion designer as well. So he has incredible talent that would be a definite asset to this country when he gets here. Unfortunately, it's not one of the categories. Unless artists who do an extraordinary thing and win global awards have the ability to come to America, but just great artists in general don't necessarily have that ability. So that's his background, and when he comes here, I look forward to working hard so I can also help support him so he can pursue his dream of becoming a fashion designer, because I've seen his work and it is incredible.
I also wanted to mention, you mentioned he's Catholic, and I want him to know, I want the public to know, that the Catholic LGBT people have one of the most in-depth, wonderful newsletters of any LGBT caucus, of religious caucuses. It's called DignityUSA.org. And I myself have subscribed to at least half a dozen different denominational affiliations for the LGBT community. And Dignity has some wonderful articles. They don't want to stop being Catholic. They just want people to recognize that God made them as they are, and that they don't feel condemned.
You know, it's such a hard discussion when we're trying to reconcile faith and sexuality. I was raised Christian. I was born into an Episcopalian family, although my mother was Roman Catholic, and my father was Missouri Synod Lutheran, which is a very ardent, very conservative branch of Lutheranism.
Very.
And so my parents, however, did give me an opportunity that not many people had, and that opportunity was to explore religion, to better understand it, to explore everything and question everything. And I am thankful for that, because I think it's created the sort of person that I am today. Having the dialogue of sexuality and religion is an extraordinarily difficult one. Certainly there are groups of people who do take the literal translation of the Bible. And for people who do take the literal translation of the Bible, I just simply challenge you to look at the historical context under the literal translation. I've studied the Bible many times. I've read it 5 times. I was a religious studies major for a while. I've read it 5 times and taken deep annotations of the entire thing. It's tough because the Bible never outwardly condemns homosexuality. In Leviticus, I believe it's Leviticus 19 or 20, I don't recall which chapter, it says a man should not lie with a man as he would a woman. What's important to note about that when you're looking at it historically is that at the time that that would have been speaking about, in the Hebrew times, women were considered a commodity. Oftentimes they were traded as currency between tribes that were moving through the desert. As sad as that is, as a large feminist myself, I hate saying that, but that's how it was at the time. And it isn't necessarily saying that you should not have a relationship with a man. The phrase is actually, you should not lie with a man as you would a woman, which speaks directly to lying with a man and then degrading him to the point of being a woman through trade and other facets. So it's important when you're reading the Bible to look at history as well. And that's basically the premise that it operates under. Religion is an important role in today's society. I'm a constitutionalist. I believe in the freedom of religion. I also believe that people are entitled to freedoms as long as they do not infringe upon the freedoms of other people. So please feel free to hold opinions, but do not feel free to place those opinions as a moral guidepost for our society. And that's really what it boils down to.
Right.
We have to do what's right for one another, and let he who is without sin cast the first stone.
And the other Old Testament, which is so often, so wrongly quoted, has nothing to do about sexuality. It has to do with hospitality. And the men who were demanding that Lot send those two visitors out, those men would have committed gang rape.
Right.
They weren't going to love those men.
Right.
It had nothing to do with homosexuality as we understand it.
Right.
And white people, I have friends in town who just can't get that.
Right. Really, we just need to focus on love.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as people love one another, we can't lose as a society. Another word for God is love.
Right.
Love your neighbor, love one another, and as long as there is love, we will always be victorious.
So I invite people to look up dignityusa.org and to, if they are Democratic, to push for Tim here, and if they are Republican, to explain to me why they want smaller government, but they want to probe a woman's body.
You know, with regards to Republicans, our Republican friends across the state, part of conservative values are states' rights and not wanting the federal government to trample on states' rights. I challenge Republicans today that there is no more conservative value than upholding the sanctity of marriage. And in Iowa and other states, that sanctity of marriage is given to gay and lesbian couples. It is a conservative ideal to limit that role of federal government from not recognizing states' rights. So I challenge those conservatives, those true conservatives out there who preach states' rights, to realize that Iowa as a state and many other states are having their rights trampled upon by the federal government. And this is an opportunity for you to really come back to our conservative values. You may disagree with gay marriage, and you may disagree with homosexuality, but what you cannot deny is that our rights are being abridged as a state. So it's our opportunity to send a message.
Mm-hmm. And there is a Republican, I think former representative in Des Moines, I forget his name, but he has said that the Republican Party should stop bashing gay people.
For certain. There's another movement as well, and I'm so thankful for that Republican who has stated that. It's critically important. I think that really these are the people who are going to be on the correct side of history.
Right.
And because it's going to happen. Our rights are going to be respected, and we're going to be treated equally. It's not that it's going to happen without effort. It's not that it's going to happen without people like you and I and many of our viewers. But it is going to happen. And which side of the history books do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the Bull Connor side of things, like in the 1960s? Or do you want to be on the progressive side, the Martin Luther King side of the civil rights movement? It's really up to each individual which side they want to be on. At the same time, in Des Moines right now, they're currently trying to pass legislation. The Republican Party is trying to pass a resolution that would actually impeach the remaining Supreme Court judges of the state of Iowa who allowed gay marriage to occur. I encourage you vehemently, especially if you live in a Republican area, to reach out to your legislators and ask them not to support this movement. It's so critical. It will really set us back. The position of the Supreme Court at all levels, of the court system at all levels, is to protect the minority from the tyranny of the majority. And at the point that we have elected officials voting to impeach someone just because they protected a minority is abominable. It's horrible.
Well, we expect to hear much more of you in the future, and we certainly hope that you can actually have breakfast together very soon.
I hope so as well. And if anyone feels compelled to help out or donate or whatever the case may be, you can visit yourplatformvoice.com, and there are plenty of opportunities for helping. We're actually getting ready to launch an entire tour across the 2nd District, hitting all 24 counties of the newly redistricted 2nd District to talk about these issues and hear your voices.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, because we are after, and that's one of the purposes of this series, to introduce the general public to gays and lesbians, transgender people, and to let people know that we simply ask for justice, fairness, equality. We are citizens too.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right?
Thank you.
Elsie, thank you for everything that you do for our community, and thank you for hosting me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.